Everyone, it's 2 o'clock, but I will just give the rest a minute or so to see if you'll join. Maybe I should stop recording these sessions because then people will join, right? It's the only chance. Let's see. And I'll just allow Miguel to speak. So Miguel, can you see my screen? Am I sharing like a river or something like that?
It's a beautiful photo of a river and forest and
Tell me more. What else do you see? Oh, okay, it works.
there's some sky, there's rocks in the river and stuff. So
Yeah.
beautiful.
Thank you. Stock photos, yes, thank you. Okay, I'll start now. So, hi everyone. Thanks for joining. Seems to work. I'm recording this session since there won't be really any Q&A going on at this session, at least. It won't really affect you that I'm recording, but I'm doing it anyways. Thank you. I want to present the results of a very, very unscientific survey that I did where I asked about line management in companies working agile. So I want to show you the results and some suggestions on also how to do something about the stuff that comes out. Just find my mouse, quick agenda, the purpose and hypothesis. What is line management? Let's talk a bit about that. Of course, you'll see a couple of comic strips, it's me. So then I'm gonna show the actual results and then some suggestions on how to meet the challenges. This is me. This was back when I was cool and I was doing rap, freestyle battle rapping. So I still want to use that picture just to live in the past. Many of us do, I admit it at least. So I work as an agile consultant, independent one now. So I do talks and workshops and courses, and you might know me from the comic strip, Comic Agile. I'm the writer. Together with my partner Mikkel, we make these comic strips once every week. So do follow us on LinkedIn. Held different agile roles for the last 13 years, agile coach, release train engineer, product owner, business analyst, and so on, come from a software engineering background. So the purpose of this survey, which I think is a very interesting topic, right? Line management in the age of agile. The purpose of this one was to eventually discover ways to increase the value add of the line manager role in an agile context. I know that's a very big question, right? So my hypothesis, this was something with clarity. So basically, my hypothesis is that organizations need better clarity on the line manager roles and responsibilities when working agile. So it's a very generic one because doing it like this approach I had taken to it, which is a questionnaire, it's really difficult getting to the depths of it. I guess I would need more of a qualitative approach to do that. So I have a pretty overarching hypothesis, you could say, a bit of an abstract one, but let's delve into the answers and approach the hypothesis a bit later. So this was it. And I think we need to define what line management really is before we start talking too much about it. So let's jump to that. According to the very truthful source of Wikipedia, line management is the management of employees directly involved in the production or delivery of products, goods, and/or services. Yeah. Also, it's the lowest level of management within an organizational hierarchy. So you could say it's the lowest level, but as we look at later, we also treat managers who are managing managers as line management in this case. So a line manager is an employee who directly manages other employees and day-to-day operations while reporting to a higher ranking manager. Right, so you could say it's the whole middle level of a company. It's not the CEO and it's not the team member. There's a nice quote from Jonathan Byrne, who's an MIT professor, who says that the single most important thing CEOs can do to maximize the performance of their company is to build the capabilities of line management, right? And here he says that they're vice presidents, directors, and managers. So investing in that role will maximize the performance of the company. And I think many of us can see that there is like this frozen middle, which is also a term we use. There's a lot of potential in enabling these people in order for them to help the actual people doing the, you could say, groundworks in improving. So let's look at how line management could look in an agile context. We have a line manager in purple talking to her team. So come on, team, work faster. And the agile coach says, can I have a word with you? Because we're in an agile context, right? Which gives us a lot of extra complexity potentially in this role. So he says, when we work agile, we don't pressure our teams to run faster. It's not sustainable, motivational, nor the management approach that we want. Okay, the manager says, instead, we want to deliver more value frequently to the customer. Come on, team, add more value, add a girl. So you could say, in this case, it's possible to take this tailorist approach to working agile, right? In this specific case, we want line management to understand, first of all, if capacity and so on, team capacity and planning is part of their scope, we want them to understand that just looking busy doesn't mean that the teams are busy, right? We don't want to fill up capacity more than around 70 or 80%, because then when something unforeseen happens, which does happen in an agile context, then we don't have any wiggle room because we already committed to our full capacity. So we want them to learn that that's the way to manage, for example. Another example, a manager talking to his team, I really believe in empowering you guys as a Scrum team, and I fully support you in self-organizing, he says. It continues. So don't ask me how to do things. I completely trust you all to make the right decisions in your daily work. Then the developer, of course, has a question, but since you don't really understand our architectural discussions and technical dilemmas, how would you make those decisions anyways? Yeah. Come with me, Diego. I just made a decision that I can make. Yeah. So what we want managers to also pass on to the teams, to the level of competencies that a team has, of course, it's not just technical decision making, because the managers don't know anything about it anyways, right? So of course they'll pass on technical decision making to the actual technical people, but we also want managers to pass on non-technical decision making in order to get more team autonomy and self-managing, organizing teams and so on. We also want them to, for instance, pass on decision making about prioritization or stakeholder management or conflict resolution and so on. If the team is capable of it and they're mature enough and competent, of course, right? So here's a group of managers with a big manager talking. It's going really well with our agile initiative. We can all be proud. And then the small manager has a question here. We now have Scrum and Kanban teams running as agile release trains. Shouldn't we change as managers as well? Big manager says, you misunderstood something. Agile is all about teams. Since we're not part of teams, it's got nothing to do with us. Now on to something important, the annual budgeting process. So what we have to also remember is, as the picture and the first front of this meeting illustrates, they're in a pressure situation, right? The managers are acting in the way that the system enables them to act, right? So we should never blame individuals or the role itself, but the system that we're in. So if we're in a system, we have to do annual budgeting, and you basically lock the iron triangle once every year, annually, then of course there isn't much space for a product owner to really move and discover new stuff and move the team in the other direction. Then you have to deliver more or less on whatever scope was locked in, right? We want to keep the scope as variable as possible, right? So it's the system that we got to fix here. Having said that, let's jump into the results of the survey. I'll present the questions as well. There was a questionnaire with 10 closed and open-ended questions. The respondents were representatives. Basically, I didn't pick them, but they answered. I shared it on LinkedIn, and they answered the questionnaire, right? Here's a list of all the 104 respondents, and there are some duplicates. And I have treated duplicates, which means more people, or several people coming from the same company. I've treated them as unique answers because I don't know which one is mostly right and so on. So there's that you can say discrepancy. That, for instance, if there are 2 people from Grundfos, it'll actually be registered as 2 different people, right? But 104 respondents answered this one. The first question was, what is the size of your organization? Answers look a bit like this. Most respondents come from companies with more than 1,000 employees. And the second largest group from 201 to 2,000. Yeah, so fairly large in the Danish context. Organizations have answered this out of 104. Okay, so next question was, what agile process, method, or framework does your organization run? Select all that apply. So it could be that they both tick Scrum, Kanban, and Safe, for instance. Results look like this. Of course, as expected, Scrum is the most widely used one here. And of the scaling frameworks, Safe is still the most popular among the 104 who answered. There's also a group answering other, which basically means hybrid. So maybe it's those who don't want to admit that they're actually running Safe, but it's some sort of hybrid where they, you could say, adopt the framework to their context, or adapt it to their context rather. And of course, you should always adapt to your context. Next question was, what's the official title of your first line manager? Like, what do you call this role? And if it's a part-time role, please specify this in other. This is what they answered. The most popular specific name was manager. Then we have team lead and chapter lead, agile people lead, and then agile line manager. So I think it's important because it says something about the expectations there will be in this type of role, right? The other was these answers: competency lead, people leader, and so on and so on. Tribe chief, even, yes. I don't know if that's a real word, but now it is, it seems. Squad lead, and so on. Engineering manager. Yeah. Then we asked, which of these responsibilities are part of the line manager role in your organization? Select all that apply. So here they could also pick multiple. And at the top, we have development of team members. I'm mostly happy to hear that that's the most popular responsibility built into the line management role. Besides that, hiring and firing is a close second place, together with performance management. So I guess that's about looking at how it's going with the individuals and teams and helping them improve. Yeah, I'll forward you, or I'll share the slides afterwards on my LinkedIn profile, so you can look at them at your own pace. Other responsibilities part of this is, as you might have guessed, resource allocation, Excel sheet mania. Also, some of them even have architectural responsibility or product road mapping responsibility, and so on. Yeah. Next question, which other roles does your line manager role overlap with? And this is interesting, right? I think we all have an idea. This is how it looked for the 104 respondents. Mostly it's the Scrum Master role. Second place, we have the Product Owner role. Third place, we have Project Manager role. Yeah, and fourth place, the Product Manager role. Okay. We cannot tell if one organization, we can look at individual answers, of course, if you want that. If you want a feedback on your organization, please let me know afterwards, and we'll do a filtering on your organization. But as expected, personally at least, Scrum Master and Product Owner, there's a huge overlap. But I'm actually surprised that the Project Manager, for those who haven't Project Manager, that they're overlapping that much with the Line Manager as well. Yeah. Others here include QA, the QA role, test manager, whatever, the team itself, VP of Engineering, Services, and Delivery Manager, and so on. This next question was, what are the challenges with the Line Manager role in your organization when working Agile? And here, what I did for the next three questions, it was a text field answer, so it's more of qualitative answer, you could say, where people basically write in free text what the challenges are. So here I have summed up with the 10 most popular answers, and I'm going to go through those now. Yeah, not rated in any way. So the first challenge that several people mentioned was that line managers often miss lack specific knowledge and competencies on Agile, right? So in order to effectively support and implement Agile practices, many people felt that this role did not have sufficient knowledge on it in order to help accelerate the Agile journey, so to say. The next most popular challenge was that there's a role overlap, specifically with the Scrum Master role, was what many people mentioned. As you saw before, it was also the most popular one in regards to overlap. But especially this role, there seems to be some confusion and overlap of responsibilities, especially when it comes to conflict management, which could lead to ineffective or lack of trust or lack of openness in the team if it's not clear what person should manage this. And even if it's an external person to the team managing much of this. Third challenge that was mentioned was that it's a challenge for line managers to transition into the new way of leading, where you can say moving from a traditional command and control approach to a more servant leadership style seems to be a challenge in the eyes of the teams for line managers. Okay, so the people who actually answered this was both team members, developers, Agile roles, but also managers themselves answered the survey. Okay, so it's not like anyone is pointing fingers, but of course we're all biased, right? Another fourth challenge was managing multiple teams. So if you're actually a line manager having accountability of several teams, it can be difficult getting into the day-to-day activities or understanding what's happening in the day-to-day dynamics of all the teams, right? Naturally, you cannot be across all teams. So that's a challenge that people experience. Also, time management. Especially if they have other caps on, for instance, if they're both a product owner and a line manager, people think it's a challenge to do the jobs properly. Okay. Then we have another point, a sixth point, which is about performance accountability, or basically it's about evaluating team members' performance. Seems to be a challenge because they're always based on indirect feedback rather than direct observation. Yeah. So this challenge is the organizational structure that often, when in a matrix structure, I guess that's more like a structural challenge, is that when there is a matrix structure, and you could call it whatever you want to call it. You could call it chapters or whatever, but it's still a matrix structure, right? Which can lead to conflicting priorities and accountability issues for line managers because they need to be kind of across several organizations, so to say. Also, and a challenge that's mentioned is that line managers often have limited authority to make actual decisions that actually challenges or changes, fixes challenges. And this can demotivate, and disempower teams because it feels like they need to talk to someone outside the team, but not even they can make their own decisions. Like, who the hell do we talk to then? Okay. Also, an ninth challenge is that it seems to many respondents say that there's sometimes a lack of organizational commitment to actually going Agile. And this also reflects on the line managers. So even if the line manager himself or herself have bought into working agile, seems that they cannot really, you could say, do change management upwards enough to get an agile commitment from the higher levels. Of course, this is not, we cannot blame the line manager for this, but rather how the agile transformation, so to say, has begun. And then people also find it challenging to have strategic objectives set by line managers. Okay, it seems that they're basically just communicating whatever objectives are made somewhere else in a staff function or somewhere else, and that the line managers don't feel very accountable for these strategic objectives, but more feel like they just pass on information. Yeah, so those were some of the challenges. Next question was, in your view, what is the most important value add of a line manager in an agile organization? So this is not necessarily what is the current value add, but how would they like the value add to be? Yeah. So what is the role's value add here? So the first thing people mention is that they should develop people like they already do, as we saw, but in a more strategic light. Right? So what does that mean? This means they want line managers to be better in contact with the future of the organization. So what new competencies does the organization need? And please help me as a direct report move in that direction, right? So if you need AI and robot competencies, please make that clear and help me get those competencies. Also, the HR management part is something that many respondents feel should be part of this role. And HR management, I guess, is hiring, firing, fostering personal development, and so on. Also, making tough decisions. So, what is a tough decision? I don't have a definition of a tough decision, but something that teams cannot make or will not make, especially in critical situations. They want someone to help them make it. And many respondents feel that this is the task of a line manager, ideally. Okay, also when there are conflicts in the team, Scrum Masters can manage much of this, but sometimes they're not either senior enough or they don't have the trust or whatever reason to manage conflicts within the teams or cross teams. Then people would like a line manager to help. Also help protect the teams. Of course, product owner helps protect the team, Scrum Master helps protect the team, and the team should as well. But it is expected that the line manager does that as well. Also, something that respondents feel is an important value add of line management is to educate upwards. So the line manager's boss and their bosses should buy more into the agile principles, for instance. Then people expect the line manager to be the one who actually educates upwards in the management hierarchy. Yeah. Also, if the Scrum Master or release train engineer cannot help drive the removal or cannot drive the removal of impediments, it is natural to expect line managers to help with some of these more systemic organizational impediments as well. Yeah. And then an answer also was that team engagement is an important line management activity. Yeah, you could say that the Scrum Master also drives much of this, but especially in regards to retention and motivation, it seems that many respondents expect the line manager to help with this. And resource management, whenever there's a need for doing this, Excel sheet mania, then we expect, or the respondents expect, line managers to do it. And this is aligning team goals with broader company goals. This is something that is expected of a line manager. You could ask whether it's not the PO or product manager and so on, but with the respondents, what the respondents say is that they expect line managers to do it. Yep. The last question we asked here was, how could the line manager role in your organization be improved? How could they get better and deliver more value than they do today? And there were I narrowed it down to 10 answers again. Several respondents set that taking more of a coaching approach. I think many of us experience this with our immediate line managers, but having them actually get a coaching education and helping individuals grow and solve conflicts and so on is very much something people would like from the line manager. Also, they would like an enhanced role clarity. So how do we slice it? Exactly what am I responsible as Scrum Master or me as product owner or developer versus what you do as line manager? Someone might have an idea, but teams feel they want this to be much clearer than it is today. So that could be improved. Also, respondents feel that line managers don't have enough Agile knowledge in order to do their jobs. Also, they want more focus on competency development of their subordinates. Yeah. Decision making, this is basically what we talked about before. More of the tough decision making that teams cannot or will not are not able to do themselves. This is about, again, more alignment of team objectives with organizational objectives. We also touched upon that. And this one is interesting. Many respondents say that they would like line managers to help digitalize administrative tasks, and workflows and so on. I guess ChatGPT can do some of it, but much of it needs more bigger investment in order to get automated. So they would actually expect the line manager to automate and digitalize some of the administrative burdens that there are. Could be stuff like time registration and so on, I guess. Yep. Then we have what could also be improved is the whole understanding of empowerment and accountability. I know it's like something many companies keep discussing, but the whole fact about shifting actual accountability to teams. So for instance, line managers could focus on hiring, team formation, and so on. They want actual delivery accountability to be given to the teams. And then psychological safety is also something that respondents want more of. They want line managers to focus very much on creating a psychologically safe environment and being servant leaders. Yeah. So doing whatever the team needs in order to serve them, right? And getting top management buy-in on the fact that you can be a leader and also servant leader at the same time, right? So some of the improvement areas. So general conclusions we can make based on this. There needs to be some sort of evolution of the leadership concept, right? It could be through regular servant leadership training. So it's basically about going from the normal quote unquote leadership to servant leadership training. It could be through training, for instance. Also, being mentored by an Agile coach could really help line managers understand what their role is in the Agile context. It could also be just shadowing a Scrum Master product owner. If you as line manager have never had an Agile role before, following operational rules could really help you in understanding what the needs are of a team and the organization when working Agile. Another general conclusion is that role clarity is a problem. So it could be that if you're working, revisit your line management roles and responsibilities, get it updated, of course, do some Agile leadership training, and run some communities of practice for Agile line managers. Yes, you share knowledge with the others like yourself. And also the third general conclusion was a larger strategic scope, right? It's very much about aligning team objectives with the higher strategy. Yeah, you do that through strategy alignment workshops, empowerment frameworks, and the focus on psychological safety. You can, I don't want to talk too much about that, but there are several ways. But the three general areas are evolve the leadership role, make it very clear what it's about, how does it overlap with Scrum Master and product owner roles, and connect all of this to a strategic scope. So the hypothesis was that we need better clarity in line management roles and responsibilities. That was an easy one, right? So it's yes. But you have to figure out what your company's specific hypothesis is, what experiments can you make in order to improve your line management role in your Agile context, okay? So is it being a traditional line manager? Is it being a functional lead? Being a people manager or no manager? Some companies are experimenting with that as well. Self-management. Also, I do run a one-day workshop where I help companies, describe their value add of the line management role. What do you want out of your line management role? What decision making can you delegate? We use delegation poker for that. What accountability should you keep? Not all accountability should necessarily be forwarded to the teams. And then we talk about how to enable teams to self-manage based on the decisions that you want to delegate. So that was a very fast run through of the results. Let me know if you want any of the material. Reach out on email or phone or LinkedIn. Thanks for watching. Only 1 minute late. Thank you. Write to me if you have any questions.